Hi guys and gals, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to do the video which I intended to do last time. Now if you've seen the last video, you'll see that I started off talking about my Mark III Cavalier convertible, and then I went off on a huge tangent, went in a completely different direction, and I ended up talking about another make and model of car that I'm looking at buying. And I talked about my existing cars, which ones I'm thinking of selling and moving on, which ones I'm thinking about keeping, etc, etc. So this video, I'm going to keep it dedicated to my Mark III Cavalier SRi. So I've done an intro video to this before, and I've talked about it before. And basically, this car was built by a lad that I know, that I'm friends with on Facebook, called Nicky. And I will do another video in the future all about the story of how the car was built and how it was developed and everything. But I'm going to do that with Nicky, talk to him, get him to script out basically how it all happened, how it all came about. But this video I want to talk about why I bought the car and what I intend to do with it. So I passed my driving test in 1995. Which was right at the beginning of like the whole max power fast car scene. Now max power is the main one that kind of gets all the glory, because max power was arguably the more influential of the two magazines, but I used to buy both. But a lot of people they'll see a highly modified car and they'll say, well, that's very, very max power. They'll never see a highly modified car and say, oh, that's very fast car. They just don't. There's something about the max power era where max power, even though it was one of several magazines, seems to be the one that people remember more than anything. There was Revs magazine, there was Redline magazine, try to think what else there were. I think that was it really, weren't it? Them four main ones. But the ones that I used to buy on a regular basis were max power and fast car. And then I've got quite a few old Revs magazines as well, which were very, very similar, that one of my mates gave me. But I didn't really buy Revs magazine myself. It was always max power and fast car. So I grew up just having passed my driving test in 1995, being influenced very, very much by the modified car scene. Now, even though the cars I owned myself, I never went as wild and as extreme as the main feature cars. I did modify my cars. Every car I've ever owned has been modified in some way or other. There's a handful of cars that I've owned which weren't ever modified in any way, and it really is a tiny little number of cars. One of which I still own, which is the Astra Twin Top. I've never modified that. And my Vectra GSI, I've never modified that. It has got a performance induction kit, but other than that, it's a completely standard car. Every other car, my Jag, I had a Jag X-Type, that was completely standard, and I had an Audi A3 diesel that was completely standard. So that's it really. Them four cars, that's all I can think of. Them four cars were completely standard. Every other car I've ever owned, I've modified in one way or another. So I always wanted one of the proper show cars. I always wanted a car that could be featured in one of the magazines, like Max Power or Fast Car. And then later down the line, Total Vauxhall magazine came out, and that was brilliant because it was dedicated to Vauxhall. There was modified cars in there. There were standard cars, but it were mostly modified Vauxhalls. And I was like, I'd love to have one of these properly modified cars, which could be like a magazine feature. But the problem is I was never in a financial position to be able to throw the kind of money at a car that these people do who have the best modified cars. I just wasn't in a position. You know, like 95, I was at college, then I had 4 years at uni, so I didn't have much money. Then I left uni, and it took a while before I got into a position where I am now, where I have got a bit of money. I'm earning not a bad amount, and I've got a bit of money to be able to invest into my cars and whatever. But I just wasn't in that situation back when I was 17, 18, 19, in the late 90s. So I've always wanted one of these cars like this. And then this car came up for sale January, February 2024, so at the beginning of this year, this car came up for sale. It popped up on Facebook. The guy who bought it originally as a standard SRi, who'd modified it in his early years, he decided he wanted to sell it. And like I mentioned in my last video, the reason he wanted to sell it is because he's gone into American muscle. He's got a Corvette, he's got a Mustang. He wanted to invest his money into those. So that's the only reason he put it up for sale. So he put it up for sale, and I thought, that is stunning. I love like the metallic grey colour with a bit of a blue pearl. I love the interior with the black and the red, leather interior, the stereo system. I'll show you that when I get around to showing it you in more detail. And I thought, you know what? Life's too short. If I don't buy this car now, I will probably never actually be in a position to have an X Max Power Show car, an X fast car, feature car. You know, I'll probably never be in that position again. So I thought, I've got to grab this opportunity while I've got a chance. So I messaged him through Facebook, and we got talking. I says, right, I really want to come and see this car. I want to come and view it. I want to come and see it. I want to come and test drive it. So I drove down to where he lives. He lives down in Kings Lynn, in Norfolk. I drove down in Owen. And no, I didn't. I tell a lie. I drove down in my Astra twin top, because that was my main daily driver at the time. So I drove down in my Astra to go and have a look at it. I had a good look round it, got loads of photos of it, had a really, really good chat. I was down there for hours, honestly hours. I got talking to him, and it was brilliant talking to him. You know, he used to take it to car shows all the time. He used to win trophies. You know, he wanted it to be the best modified Cavalier out there. And there's loads of other modified Cavaliers, but he was really trying to make his the best. You know, and that's why he had the Carisma interior done on it. He spent a fortune. The interior alone cost him $4,500 back in the late 90s, early 2000s. You know, $4,500 just for interior. He said that in total he'd spent about 22 grand on it, you know. And this is what I mean. I didn't have that kind of money back then to be able to spend modifying a car. Everything I did back then was on a major budget. I mean, I had my Novas, which I will talk about at a later date in these videos. I want to do some videos on my old cars so you can see the cars I had back in the day, and I want to talk about it and tell you the stories of my old cars. So yeah, everything I did back then was on a budget, so I didn't have the money to be able to buy something like this. So when this car came up for sale, as I said, I went and drove it. I came home, I had to think about it. I didn't make a decision there and then on the day. I says, look, I need to think about it. We then got negotiating, talking, because he wanted a certain amount for it. I didn't think it were quite worth what he wanted to sell it for. It does need quite a bit of work doing on it to get it back to its former glory. You know, it's probably going to need a couple of £1,000 minimum spending on it, you know. I mean, I do a lot of the work myself, so I can keep the costs down because I do most of the work myself. But when it comes to the paintwork, I'm going to have to pay somebody to do that. So there might be a 2-3 grand has to be thrown at it, paintwork wise. We'll have to wait and see. But to get it to the way that he did it, it is going to need some time, effort, energy and money spending on it. So with that in mind, I made him an offer. He made me a counter offer, and we met somewhere in the middle, and a deal was struck. So then on February the 16th, 2024, I went down with my dad. My dad gave me a lift down to get the car. I'd paid him a hefty deposit. I paid the rest of the money to him, and I drove it back, and that is it. And I've loved it ever since. I just unfortunately haven't had much time, as I mentioned in my last video, to do many videos on it. And I've got all my other projects, and I've done videos on my Vectra recently, and I've done a couple on the Manta, and I've continued to do videos on Owen because he's my daily driver. I've done a few recently on the Mark 1 Cavalier. I've even done one recently on my Cav convertible and one on my Nova. So this is the problem. I've got that many projects, and this is what I talked about in my last video, and that's why I went off on this huge tangent talking about all my existing projects. So because of that, all these other ones, I've not done many on the Cavalier yet. So I did mention again in my last video how one of the first jobs I needed to do was sort out the solenoid on the driver's door as a minimum, so that I could open the door, because it's got no door handles. The doors are popped by a electronic controller remote that pops the doors open. It's only working on the driver's door at the moment, so one of the things I've got to do is sort the passenger side. The solenoid does work. I've put power to it and the solenoid is physically fine. There's nothing wrong with the solenoid. There's something wrong with either the earth to and from it or the power feed to and from it. Something's causing it to not trigger, and that's why I can't get in through the passenger side. So there is quite a lot of work I need to do on it, but I want to show you the car and I want to show you around it. But unfortunately, the weather today has really gone crap. My intention was to put a battery on it, open it up, get inside it, and do you a proper look around the car. But I think I'm going to have to leave it again for another video. Or do I? Do I? What do we think? What do we think? I don't think it's fair really to leave it to another video. So let's go and get the keys. Let's go and put a battery on it and let's have a little look around the car. Yeah? So stick around and we shall see you outside at the car. See you in a bit. Right then guys, so here we are outside at the car. So I'm going to start this little walk around under the bonnet. So under the bonnet, it is just like any other Mark III Cavalier from 1991 or any time around there. It's still got the original good old 2 litre 8 valve. It is actually the NE, the 20 NE. Unfortunately, sorry, the C20 NE, because it would have originally had a catalytic converter. Unfortunately, it's not the SCH, it's not the 130 engine, but to be honest, it still drives fantastic. It drives lovely. The only real modification under here is the K&N air filter and the stainless steel inlet tube, and then everything else that's under here is to do with a stereo system that's non-standard. So it's got a nice big chunky power lead from the battery, and that is a switch which when you turn that on it puts power through to the amps in the back, and there's like a power converter thing there, I think it is. But other than that, it's standard under the bonnet. Most of the modifications are on the outside. As I did say in my last video, the intention had been for this to eventually have a let in it, but the guy Nicky who built it, he never got around to fitting a let. So if I want to continue where he left off, maybe, just maybe, I might have to fit a let in it one day. Who knows? We shall see. We shall see. For now, certainly, I'm perfectly happy with the original old 8 valve. So there you go. That's the engine bay. Now, I did mention in the video earlier about it having no door handles, and it doesn't. It's got no door handles. So what I have to do at the moment to get in, I have to put the battery on, and then I have to open the boot, and then I have to pull a bit of string, this bit of string, which is attached to the rear door handle, from inside the boot, open the boot, and then have to fold the front seat forward so I can reach across to open the front door handle, which is not exactly ideal. So I've already popped the doors beforehand so that I don't have to do it while you're watching the video. So here we are. So this is the Carisma done interior. Like I said before, this interior when it was new was £4,500. Now I don't think that included the stereo. I think that was for basically the leathery trim, and that includes, believe it or not, the full headlining. Yes, it has got a full red leather headlining. Now In keeping with Cavalier tradition, the headlining is dropping, it is sinking. Even though it's not the original, it has actually shrunk over time, and it is in the back just held up with those bits of wood. I have got an idea of how I am going to repair it without replacing it, because it's just shrunk. You see there at the edge of the sunroof as well. But so that's one thing I do need to fix. The other thing I need to fix as well is a lot of the wiring for the stereo is just basically corroded, and it just basically needs cleaning up and sorting. Or you'll notice the little flashing LEDs in the door. So the interior light at the moment is turned off because I think the bulb's taken out, but yeah, when the doors are open, the little LEDs in the crossovers flash, which is a cool little feature. You just have to not leave the doors open for long because it wears the battery out. But yeah, there you go. So let's talk you through what we've got on the inside. So where do we start? I mean, it's an X Max Power feature car. So as you can imagine, it's highly modified in just about every way that a car can be modified. I mean, the interior pillars are all trimmed in red and black leather. You know, even the indicator and wiper controls are aluminium. You've got the adjuster for the steering columns, aluminium. You've got the red dials. You've got the oil pressure and battery voltage gauges up in the pods. You've got Momo parts everywhere. You know, the foot pedals are Momo that do need adjusting and reseating. The handbrake down there is Momo. The gear stick, the door sill protectors, which have unfortunately started to corrode because of the age of them. You've then got all the Pioneer system with a TV system in the front. You've got another head unit there. You've got an amp there in the middle in a custom center console, and you can see there where it says Carisma. So if this looks a little bit dark on camera, this is why I wasn't going to do this video today, because it's not as nice and bright and sunny as it had been earlier in the day. So I was going to leave it, but I decided, you know what, I'm on with doing the video today, so let's do it. Then in the dashboard, yes, that is a PS2, and yes, it does work. You've then got a repositioned hazard switch, because the hazard switch would normally be up there. That would normally be the other two air vents. You've got air vent on the outer edge on both sides. That would normally be two more air vents. But of course, you've got a TV screen there. The hazard switch would normally be in the middle, but it's not. It's relocated down here, and it works. So then that should normally be the glove box is totally different. That's for the cooling vent for the PlayStation. You open this, which is on a little magnet, and look inside. Yes, that is a CD auto changer. Nothing unusual about that. But that is a VHS. Yes, it's got a VHS video player in it. A VHS. That's how old school this car is. So that's that. Then you've got the speaker builds, which are just huge. Again, the whole system is pretty much Pioneer. Pioneer speakers there. The Pioneer crossovers, there's little tweeters up there as well. And one of the things that I've been most impressed about this is the quality. You know, Jamie Short and Carisma have got the image of quality. I mean, he used to work at Rolls-Royce, so he used to make Rolls-Royce interiors, and you can really tell. I mean, the quality of the stitch work and everything is amazing. Absolutely fantastic. Now, again, with age, it started to go a bit out of shape, and you can just see down the back of there the original grey and striped fabric trim from the original SRi door cards. And there's a few little bits that's gone a little bit funny with age. You know, it's the vinyl's splitting up here a little bit on this corner and what have you. But again, you have to remember how old this car is. It's a 1991. No, it's not. It's a 1992 Cavalier, so it's not going to be perfect. But let's look in the back. So in the back, you've got these massive speakers, massive speaker builds. I mean, look how they stick out. Absolutely crazy, mental. You've then got TVs. Yes, there's TVs in the back of the headrest. Again, it's nothing unusual these days, but back then there weren't that many cars around. You've then got the completely custom centre console with the PS2 controller. That is where the controller should be that controls the stereo, but it's currently in the house, out of the way, because I didn't want it to stay in the car and the battery to go flat and whatever, so I took it out and put it in the house. But you can see the interior is just absolutely amazing. All red and black. You look into the back and you've got your subs. So let's go around to the boot and we'll have a look. Oh yeah, the 6x9's up in these rear quarters as well. All this is all trimmed, all retrimmed in, you know, black and red. So let's go and have a look in the boot. Okay, so in the boot, this is where you get your Momo subs. Yes, the Polk Audio with Momo. These were imported from the USA, and there's 110 and 2 12s. You've got crossover in the side there, crossover in the side there, and a power cap, and then you've got the 3 additional Pioneer amps. So it's got a total of 4 amps, the 1 in the centre console, the 3 in the back. But again, look at the quality of the stitch work. You know, black with the red stitching all the way around. It's just beautiful. Now it's a very simple install, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of installs out there which are way bigger, way more powerful, way more speakers, way more wild and crazy than this. But it's one of the things I like about it is the fact that it's not too crazy, it's not too mental, it's just stylish, it just looks good. And that's one of the things that attracted me to it. You know, it's not too wild, it's not too mental. Now it's brilliant when these speakers are, sorry, when the amps are all turned on, they all illuminate as well in blue. They just look amazing when it's all lit up. And again, I will do another video in the future demonstrating all the stereo. Today it's frigging freezing. Like I say, it's the 6th of December. It's absolutely freezing out here, so I'm not going to be out here for much longer, but I did want to do a video showing you around the car. So what I want to show you next is some of the little issues and things that I need to sort. One of the issues is these struts, because the boot doesn't hold up. So I'll show you some of the other things that's wrong with the car on the outside. So let's get to that. Right, so we'll start with some of the things I want to get done to the car. Well, one of the big issues is actually the bonnet. Again, feature car or not, it's still basically a Mark III Cavalier, and it's got the good old Mark III Cavalier rusty bonnet. So it will need a new bonnet, because this one is actually really quite bad along this front edge. But again, I knew about this when I bought the car. I knew it was going to need a new bonnet, because like I said, it's going to need mostly completely repainting anyway, so it's not going to be a major issue. I do want to get all this engine bay tidied up and dressed and looking nice. I want to be able to pop the bonnet at car shows and it not be a complete mess. So things, even just like these strut top things, are going to need cleaning up and painting, and all the, you know, the battery tray is going to need all cleaning up. The engine itself, you know, get it all cleaned up, and aluminium bits polished up and nice, other bits painted, get it all nice. Like this slam panel's got little bits of surface rust and whatever on it, it's going to need sorting. You can't really see, because again, I don't want to move the car today because it's just too much of a pain to start moving it, but it does need the front bumper painting as well. And because of how low the front is, yeah, you can see it's got quite a lot of little scrapes and things along the bottom. It's got lots of little stone chips that have been touched in. The front wings are very, very good condition actually. You can see they did originally have the side repeaters, but it's had a side repeater delete, and you can just see where it's been done. It's starting to just bubble a little bit there. The alloys are actually really, really good. The good old Momo arrows. This is the only one that's got a little bit of curb rash on it. Just got a little bit of curbing. The others are all absolutely perfect. you have got a little bubble of rust up here at the top of the screen. Otherwise it's actually really good. You can see the Carisma logo on the screen there. A little bit of moisture on inside at car. Again, that's time of year, it being December, it's absolutely freezing. You can see it has got some lacquer peel, but again, the car's going to need repainting anyway. Where the doors have been de-locked, de-handled, this one's not too bad, but you can just very slightly make out where the handles used to be. You can on this back door just kind of make out a little bit where the filler has raised a little bit, and again you've got a fair few bits of lacquer peel, but I did factor in, like I say, having to repaint the car anyway. Now this back arch, again, is a Mark III Cavalier, so it's got the usual bits of rust starting to come on the back arches and these little bubbles. The other side is actually a bit worse, but you can't get to the other side because it's up against the wall of my driveway, so it will need the back arches sorting on both sides. And these side skirts will also have to come off completely because, as per Cavalier, as per Vauxhall, the back end of the sills, this side actually feels alright. Yeah, it does actually feel okay this side, but at the other side it has definitely got a bit of a rusty hole in it, so it will definitely need a bit of welding. So yeah, I suppose that's all I can really show you for today, although I probably could show you a little bit of the stereo system. If I just tip forward this seat and give you a little bit of a sneak preview of some of the stereo systems. So there is another power battery in the back there that works for the stereo. You can see some of the wiring in the back of the amps. It is all made of MDF. There is being a temporary repair done there to try and repair a bit of it. Again, I need to do this video again in the summer when it's a nice bright sunny day and you can actually see properly. But a couple of my friends have kept saying to me, Rich, when are you going to do a video on the Cavalier, the Mark III? And I says, well, I will do, I am going to do one. So that's why I'm doing this today. But I should really have had the torch on, but I am starting to lose my daylight now. It is 3 o'clock ish. Push that shut. So yeah, there you go. I just need to make sure that my bit of string is positioned so that I can reach it. One thing I think I'm going to do though is I'm going to start it up. I'm going to do a cold start. So that's what I'm going to do next, guys. Right then guys, so I'm in the driver's seat, power on. I ain't started it for probably a couple of months actually, so we shall see if it starts. Let's see what it does. There we go. Took a little bit for fuel to pump through because, like I say, I've not started it for at least a couple of months, probably longer. So I'm quite happy with that, to be fair. Looking at the voltage gauge, we've got good voltage. Oil pressure's looking a little bit low, but I think that's actually the gauge, you know. The gauge seems to take a bit of time to come up. It doesn't seem to like work instantly. That's one thing I have noticed with it. If I just turn the lights on, you can see them illuminated. Nicely illuminated. See the dash all lit up. As I will have to show you another day with all the stereo working and try and demonstrate the stereo. It's very quiet and subtle by comparison to Owen. You know, Owen's exhaust is a lot louder. It's got the good old manual sliding tilt sunroof as well, traditional Cavalier. The LEDs are still flashing in the door because the back door's still open a little bit. It's probably why the exhaust sounds louder than it would do normally. It has actually got tinted windows all around as well. The front ones are definitely a bit darker tint than standard, but I do believe that they are still legal because they're not that much darker than the standard tint. It has got the darker tints in the back. The back doors are actually the same as the front doors, but the very rear windows are darker tint. It does smell lovely as well because it's it was originally a catalytic a catalyzed car, but the cat's been removed. But it's fine because it's a 1992 registered car and it doesn't need to have a cat legally. So that's one thing that's nice. That's one thing that is nice. So there we go, guys. Yeah, I think the oil pressure gauge must actually be a little bit faulty because it's only reading about 25 psi. And it don't move revving the engine. See, in Owen, when Owen started, it goes up to about 75 and then it drops gradually, and then when you're driving on the road with the engine running, the psi goes a lot higher. But then at idle it would only be about 25 at idle, but this seems to be 25 no matter what I do with the engine. So I mean, you can't see it moving at all. So I don't know if that gauge is faulty or something. Bit of water on the top of the dash. That's this time of year for you, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, all the main things work. The blower motor works and everything. The clock works, and the set electric windows work fine. Electric mirrors work fine. You know, it's not got any kind of issues in that respect. I can't show you because the main power switch is off, but it has, oh there you go, it's got a power switch in there that turns some of the system on. So that's inside there. There is another power switch there, but the other power switch won't do anything. So that one actually turns on the yeah, the PlayStation won't work because I ain't got the other power switch turned on, but that turns on the video. I ain't worked it all out yet, to be absolutely honest. But yeah, when you've got the remote, you can use the remote to turn on the stereo system, and you've got all the volume and everything is all done via the remote. This stereo, the only thing wrong with this is the backlight seems to not be working, because when it's turned on it doesn't light up very well. It seems to have got a backlight issue. So there's a few little issues that need sorting. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you something else that needs sorting. It does sound lovely, and it does drive so nice as well. Oh, you got the lawnmower wheel. Does the homework? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's got a single wiper as well. Single wiper which seats down that side and completely hides that away. Because a lot of single wipers sit like in the middle. This one doesn't. What else have we got? Yeah. Oh yeah, I need to sort my headlights out because my headlights are very dim. They look alright on camera. You know, they seem to be lit up alright on this video, but when you're actually out on the road driving, they are very dim. They're very dim, and it's because the backings to the lights have gone, so I do need a couple of new lights. So yeah, I think that's just one thing I need to check is this oil pressure gauge. It just doesn't seem to be building up oil pressure. There's a little bit of a vibration from somewhere. I think it's probably just that door that's not shut right. This door panel does actually creak a little bit. The speaker catches on the edge of the dashboard, and when you're driving it does get a little bit of a creak. There's also a front bush or something down at this side, because it does pull a little bit to one side, and the tracking's out. When you're driving, the steering wheel's like this or like that. I can't remember which way. This way, I think. So it's definitely I think there's a bush or something that's out. Put the lights back on the side. Yeah, there's not much fuel left in it either, so, but it's ticking over just nicely. Sounds absolutely sweet. Oh, I miss driving this car. I really do miss driving it. roll on the spring, and I can get the work done on it and get an MOT on it and get out driving again. So I'll turn it back off for now. I'll just see if my door popper's still working. So this is the door pop. Yeah. It's just, oh, it's a bit. Oh, there we go. There we go, so the door popper's working. I just can't open it very far because I've got the wall down there. Oh. There we go. Yeah, the door popper's not really working properly. So I'm going to have a look at that again. Because the idea of the door pop is it pops the door so that you can pull it open from the outside, but that looks like it's not working as well as it should now, so I won't be able to get in from the outside again. I can obviously open it from the inside, but I can't get in from the outside, so I need to that's another thing I need to try and fix properly. I might have to fit new solenoids, and this is the problem as well. I have to climb over into the passenger side, get my legs over the centre to get back out again. It's all good fun. It's all good fun. But no, I do love this car. And you can't really express on camera just how nice it smells on this interior. But this interior with all the leather, I mean, it just really does smell fantastic. And it's in such good condition as well. To say that it was made, you know, 20 odd year ago, it's just got a little bit of wear on the edge of that bolster. And some of the seams are just coming apart a little bit on the edge of the seat. There's a little bit on the seat that's worn there, which is probably from a buckle or something on his jeans when he's been driving it previously. But yeah, it's such a lovely car. I'll just show you one other little issue that the car's got, and then just before I finish for the day. Right, so the other little issue I just wanted to show you was this, relating to the washer jets, because it had even had the washer jets removed from the bonnet. Yeah, you can see it is a bit mucky, does need a good wash. So it had even had the washer jets removed from the bonnet to make it really sleek. So that's the pipe, and I need to just basically get some washer jets working, because at the moment I ain't got any screen washers. So I can't actually wash the windscreen, so that's another little thing I need to sort. Oh, and also, it also been de-aerialed as well. So that's where the aerial should be for the stereo, for the radio. That's been removed, and it's also been de-wipered, so there's no rear wiper. So that's where the rear wiper should come out through the stereo, and it's been filled, and it's got a bit of filler coming through again, where it's going to need some paint. The rear spoiler is actually from a Renault Laguna, of all things. Actually, the tailgate's been modified and the reg plate moved down into the back bumper. That's the Scorpion exhaust, which sounds so nice. My driveway is starting to go green again because it's that time of year. I'll just see if I can show you the other arch. Let me just see if I can get round and show you the other arch. So yeah, you can see this one's bubbling quite a lot worse. Croak crap that's blown up my driveway with wind. I said we've had a bit of a storm this last night. But yeah, that's the one that's a little bit worse at this side. Does need some welding at the end of the sill. So this is the problem why I can't get in at that side, because I'm right next to the wall. So not exactly ideal. So there we go, guys. That is a bit of a walk around the Mark III, showing you some of its issues, some of the things it's got wrong with it. But yeah, need to get some other cars sold, and then I can get stuck in and concentrate on this, get this sorted, and get other jobs done on other cars. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. As always, please like, browse and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. See you later, guys.